The sunnah is not just to not be, it's out of sight, out of earshot, because it's whatever it is. And the shyness, the haya, the modesty of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the sunnah, is that this is not something that you share around. We can't help it that our modern conveniences, men or women, they're just right next to each other, boom, 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 boom. I'm talking about, cubicles all in one kind of thing. So the out of earshot, you can't do. But out of sight, we still can do. And standing up in public urinals is not out of sight. It is exposing, let alone the urinal drops. So please, we need to first and foremost take care of it for ourselves, take care of it for other people. And wiping ourselves, cleaning ourselves, okay, from the Bayt al-Khala and from after urinating, defecating, it's prefer, okay, if the Hanafi school has a different view, then someone told me, but I only know it from the other two schools. It's an obligation to use something to clean. And we only have two things in the sunnah. Water, the best purifier, or, they said, hard, small pebbles. We don't need small pebbles anymore, alhamdulillah. I did that once, but that was a rule, whatever. One can use something hard, as in toilet paper. But water and toilet paper together is the best. So one cleans with the hard material first, and then one uses water to make it fully clean. That is the way that we aim for as much as possible. If not, then only water. If we can't use both, then water is preferable, as if that's the only thing we're going to use. And if not, then tissue paper, but they say they were talking about stones and pebbles, using no less than 3 stones, meaning don't clean as thoroughly as you can. And you're unlikely to clean as thorough if you only use 3 or less. So if you use 3 or more, it will be better. Meaning clean as thoroughly up. So where we can't use water, then we have that. Otherwise, we're trying to use water and something hard, which is normally anti-spray. Point being is, these things are an obligation, without which our prayer won't be accepted. So level 1, tahara min al-najasa, from physical impurities. Level 2, tahara from ma'siyat, purifying our limbs. We're talking about purifying our body and our clothing. Now we're talking about purifying our limbs from acts of disobedience, because they are also impure, but not like the first type of physical impurity. These are like spiritual impurities. Every act of disobedience and sin against Allah is an offense against His Majesty. It's an impurity. So second obligatory level, purifying our limbs from acts of disobedience. And we should each learn very quickly the sins related to the tongue, the sins related to the eye, the sins related to the hands, the sins related to the private parts, the sins related to the feet, the hearing, for example. Really easy. You can find a list of the kaba'ir, major sins, as a starter, and we can learn that just very quickly. Third level, Imam Ghazali says, purifying the heart from radha'il, purifying the heart from all of its spiritual vices, hasad, kibr, hubbul jah, hubbul dunya, purifying the heart from jealousy, from pride and arrogance, from being overly in love with the material world, from being overly in love to have leadership and to be known and to be recognized, from riyah, from showing off, from ujub, from vanity and conceit, okay, from being hasty with Allah's qada and qadr, or being displeased with Allah's qadr and qada, Allah's decree upon us. These kind of things we are trying to remove. Also an obligation. All these 3 are obligations, but it's going higher, as in the purity. And then the 4th level of purification is purifying the heart from everything that distracts it from Allah and His remembrance. And this is not an obligation, a fard or a wajib. This is the ghaya, the goal that we're aiming for. These 3 levels of purification are helping to achieve the 4th one. Okay? Just to make a start on salah, so we can at least make a start. So, tahara. Now salah. I'm leaving my house, and inshallah, preferably I'm making wudu at home, not in the mosque. Making wudu in the mosque is jaiz, no, don't get it wrong. But if I make wudu at home, then in the state of wudu, every step I take to the masjid, in the state of purity, even more ajr, even more reward, every step. And every step becomes a means of sins falling down from my body. Right, subhanAllah. And not only that, it's a preparation. Just like you don't go to, let's say some Muslim man is getting married tomorrow in Walthamstow Town Hall. Right, okay. You can see how old I am because Walthamstow Town Hall are better venues nowadays. He doesn't go there and put on his wedding suit. He doesn't get to the wedding and say, hold on a minute, I just need to get changed. He's probably thinking about what he needs to wear for days and months or exactly. And then definitely someone's gonna get him up early, better, get up, you're getting married, marriage is at 5 o'clock in the evening, but start getting ready at 10 o'clock in the morning. Prayer is like that. We're going to something special. So there needs to be a preparation. So start at home. As I'm making wudu, as I'm physically cleansing my arms, my mouth, my face through the wudu water, I should also be thinking, Ya Allah, let the prayer also be a means for cleansing my heart of all the dirt. As I'm washing off the dirt of my body, Ya Allah, let there not be dirt in my heart. What's the point in having a really nice, clean body free of dirt and the heart is like a rubbish dump? Okay? And today, including us Muslims, beauty is skin deep. Beauty is skin deep. You go to a wedding, right? And especially, it's not Muslim, I think it's just non-English. I think, it doesn't matter if it's Nigerian, or if it's Maghribi, or if it's Asian. Wow, they're colourful or what? Weddings are really colourful. Really. Okay? As opposed to kind of the black and whiteness of like kind of an English wedding. And you see, really beautiful. And even the men, they're like peacocks. Peacocks. And sometimes the men outshine the women. Okay? But what's the point? There's beauty outside. I like the beauty in our hearts. If we spend only 5% of the time thinking about how to make the heart inside beautiful, as we're making the outside, the world will be a better place, our families will be a better place, our communities will be a better place. But you go to a wedding, outward beauty outwardly, vibe. But there's jealousy from one group of girls to another. There is jealousy now between one group of men towards another. There is this sickness, there is this anger, there is this hatred, there is this pride, there is this jealousy, there is this... Oh no, what's that? And we don't want to pay attention to it. But no. Let me stick some feathers and peacock feathers in my head and everything will be okay. So, as we're making wudu, we're trying to think, Ya Allah, as I'm cleansing the dirt from my mouth, cleanse the dirt from my heart. Then let's just say I woke up in my pajamas, right? Then, at least let me wear an appropriate dress for prayer. The Prophet said, when any one of you stands to pray, let him wear his best dress. Let him wear his best thobe. Thobe doesn't mean thobe like that, it just means any long shirt, tunic, or something which is normally worn. When any one of you stands to pray, let him wear his best dress, for Allah has more right that you beautify yourself for him. Allah has more right that you beautify yourself for him. So as I would want to look good in public, as I would want to look good in a wedding, especially if I was the bridegroom, the bridegroom, as I would want to look good in an interview or any special public place, job interview, then I want to look even better in front of my Allah, in his house, in the meeting with him. no. And so as I'm wearing good clothes, Al-Hasan radiallahu anhu, it's either Al-Hussein, I remember it's Al-Hasan radiallahu anhu, it's in Sahih Bukhari. Al-Hasan, the grandson of the Prophet ﷺ, because the Quran says, and beautify yourself for every place of sajda, meaning for every time you go to make prayer. The Quran says that as well. So Al-Hasan, this is how he acted upon it. Not all the Sahaba did, this is how he did. He would have one specific shirt he'd hang on. That was his prayer shirt. So when he got to pray, he'd take off this one, and he'd wear that one, the nice one, he'd go, and then when he'd come back, he'd take it off and he'd wear something, the normal one. I had a teacher who did this as well. Actually, that's why I actually learned from that teacher. Point being is, it's because it's Allah. So as we're clothing ourselves, as we are fulfilling satr al-awra, hiding our nakedness, and more than nakedness, respectability, we're asking Allah, Ya Allah, I don't want to have the shame, as I don't want to be shameful in exposing my nakedness, I don't want to be shameful in having sins in my heart against you, against other people. I don't want to be naked in that sense. I want you to cover them through forgiveness, just like I'm covering my nakedness. And then I come into the masjid, and then I make the niyyah. And as we said in Hadith 1 or Hadith 2, talaffudul niyyah, verbalizing the niyyah, oh Allah, I'm praying such and such prayer behind the Imam. Even though we don't see it directly from the Prophet and the Sahaba textually stated, and niyyah is an action of the heart, but it's permissible, especially if it helps you focus. If it helps focus what prayer we're praying, then verbalizing the niyyah is la ba'as bihi, isn't a problem, inshallah. But the niyyah is, Ya Allah, I'm focusing on you, intending you. Then that's the same type of intention we should have outside the masjid. I'm intending you, I'm aiming for you, my Allah. Okay? And as Allah is the focus in the prayer, then outside I'm trying to make Allah the focus in as much of my life. When I'm studying, when I'm in the market, when I'm this, when I'm that, when I'm at work, I'm trying to make that all connected with Allah. Then I say Allahu Akbar. We start the prayer with takbir. Allahu Akbar, takbir tahrim. This takbir tahrim, this takbir, this Allahu Akbar, that makes everything haram, tahrim. Now, I'm not allowed to speak. I'm not allowed to move around too much. Okay, I'm not allowed to make dinner. I'm not allowed to text on my phone or whatever, because it's become haram. Most movements are now haram apart from those specific movements in the prayer. Okay, it doesn't mean we can't move a little bit here and there, but we're not talking about normal movements. Then just as I said, Allah Akbar, God is greater, God is greatest, Allah is greatest. As I've said it with my tongue, I have to try to mean it in my heart. And actually, in this prayer, Allah is the greatest thing, concern of mine. Allah is my greatest concern. My heart has no greater concern than Allah. I can't say Allahu Akbar, God is greater, and there is something in my heart that has actually a greater concern than Allah. What is my football team doing? Have England really done disastrous in the cricket? And what's the price of gold? Who's texted me? Have I been liked on my Facebook page today? Okay, all the important things of life. That I need to somehow remove them from my heart. If they come in my heart, I need to just try to remove them again. And if they come in a few more seconds later, I try to remove them. Every time they come in, I try. And if I ask Allah, and if I try, bi'idhnillah, it will get better and better with each passing month, with each passing year, inshallah. When I go to bow to ruku or to sajda, as my head bows, let my heart bow. As my head and my back has bowed to the glory of Allah subhanahu rabbiyal azim, glory be to Allah, Azim, most exalted and tremendous, let my heart feel Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. When my head falls to the floor along with my body, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, glory be to Allah, most exalted, most high, let the heart fall to the floor in neediness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let the heart fall broken to the floor in neediness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are more things Al-Ghazali says about towards the end of the prayer, but then he gets into some detail from what I remember. But just these few things. When I'm reciting Fatiha, when I'm seeking A'udhu billahi min shaytanir rajim, seeking refuge, then let my heart try to ask Allah for all protection, because if the heart doesn't have Allah's protection, there is no protection. There's no protection. When it's reciting Fatiha, let the heart know what the tongue is saying. Let the heart know what the tongue is saying. Then a person prays the prayer, subhanAllah, and then you can understand why the Prophet says to Bilal, when the Prophet was troubled by things, and normally there were ummah things that he was troubled with, dawah, people rejecting guidance, enemy going to attack. They weren't troubled about food and things like that. They were difficulties, but he had that rida bil qadar, anyway, that taslim, that tafweed, they just relied purely on Allah. Okay, but there were these ummah troubling things. When those things were trouble and rejection of the message, you know, normally when we're troubled by something, hum and gham and grief and anxiety, either we eat more chocolate, or we go shopping more to Westfields, or we go and get on our Xbox, probably not the elders. I'd be surprised if the elders did that. That would be like, well, that would be incredible, wouldn't it? Uncle comes in with all of his Xbox games and he says, I've got this level and I've reached that. Anyway, that, or something that comforts us. But look at this hadith. Rasul, when he was troubled, he would say, Ya Bilal, give the adhan, ahrina biha, soothe us, relax us by the adhan, meaning so that we can pray. Okay. But you and I, we don't have that, because to us, prayer is not munajat, prayer is not communing with Allah. Prayer is just, we just need to get it over and done with. And a lot of that is because, alhamdulillah, Allah has guided us to Islam and He's given us tawfiq to pray, and that's an immense thing, even in this day and age. But shaitan has fooled us in thinking that's all the prayer is. That's all tahara is. Tahara has no deeper ishara or spiritual indication than just outwardly. Prayer has no greater meaning than up and down, boom, 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 boom. I'll end it with a fiqh issue, a little bit controversial. Most of the jurists, from what I remember, most of the fuqaha say, or most of the later fuqaha say, most of the later ulama say, that it is better, or it is preferable, that after the jama'ah, after the congregational prayer, the imam makes the congregational dua. A number of the early ulama, including some Hanafis, including a number of eminent Shafis, including a number of eminent Hanbali and Maliki scholars, said, well, when we said Allahu Akbar, and before we said Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, we were in the presence of the king. We were in the presence of the king. It is from greater adab that when you are in the presence of the king, O noble king, most generous king, most gracious king, I'm in need of this. And with your generosity, which is so vast, I know that you will look kindly upon me. So please grant me. That's normally how we would do it with kings. Okay? We wouldn't leave the palace and then we'd go out of the doors and we'd just say, King, just one more thing. Forgot to mention. We wouldn't do that. We'd do it this way. So when we're in the prayer, if we look at the sunnah du'as, in the beginning of the du'a and in after at-tahiyyat, Allahumma salli ala, there are 8, 9, 10, 15 authentic du'as across us, and you can even make up, some of the du'as of the Sahaba or whatever. Some of the early scholars said that actually the du'as should ideally be done all in the prayer. There's no harm in making du'a outside of the prayer, but to collectively do it when the Imam has done the du'a for you in the prayer. You can do your individual dua, because maybe the Imam's made a dua for some general thing, but you want to, Allah, fix my car. The Imam's not going to make that kind of dua, obviously. And the reason why that is obvious is because if you are talking about a people from the earlier Islam who understand what they're saying in the prayer, it makes more sense. It makes more sense. Okay? So I'm not giving a fatwa, it shouldn't be done, it should be done. My thing is, khala, just follow your ulama, what you've been taught. Okay? But if you see someone, actually like myself, who follows the opinion, that one doesn't make it a habit to raise their hands in dua after congregational prayer, collectively, ijtima'an. But I have no problem of those who follow the opinion that you can and you should. Okay, then part of that is because the idea of trying to make it real in the actual prayer. And there isn't a need that you could ask for, except that you would find some dua of the Prophet about it, specifically or generally. Anyway, all of that wasn't about dua, should we do dua or not, in ijtima' and all. The issue is about the prayer itself, how we should be in the prayer. The inward dimension of prayer. And this is just a snippet, it can go deeper, but if we can just realize the outward acts shadow an inward reality. We have a Kaaba here, and we have the Baytul Ma'mur up in the seventh heavens. The Kaaba of the heavens. The Prophet said the Baytul Ma'mur is like a Kaaba which the angels make tawaf around. And from the time Allah created angels, whenever, every day, 70,000 angels make tawaf of the Baytul Ma'mur. And on no day is it the same 70,000. That is to say, on every day there is a different 70,000 making tawaf. So, let's just give a figure. Let's just say angels have been around for, a billion years, let's say. Okay. And they say the Earth as a planet is 4 billion years old, 4,000 million years old, 4,000 million years old, okay. So let's just say they've been around for a billion years. It could be longer, much longer than that, but let's just figure out. How many days in a billion? I'm not going to do the maths, right, okay. Whatever number that is, times that by 70,000, and that's just the angels making tawaf around the Baytul Ma'mur. That's not all of the angels, that's just the Tawafi angels. All these other angels. And when you then read that actually Allah has these specific angels, that when you're in prayer, hadith sahih, when you're in prayer, you're reciting Bismillah, Fatiha, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, all these ayats and things of the Quran, they love the Quran so much that angels come and they put their mouth close to your mouth. Because they love to be as close as possible to when human beings recite the book that was given to them and not to the angels. But if the man who's praying, his breath is not nice, the angels don't like it. Then you think, oh, subhanAllah, okay, I don't want to smell my breath to be bad in front of people, but what about the angels? So, siwak, the miswak just before the prayer, or gargling before the prayer, or something, mint, or whatever it may be. Do you see that our life takes on a whole different meaning? Because we're not just living in the visible world, the alam which is shuhudi, which is visible. But we're also trying to live in the visible world, remembering the ghaybiyat, the alam al-ghayb. There are angels, there's Allah, there's this, there's that going on, there's barakah. Okay? And one more thing about the end of prayer. Alright, I know this is a really bad example, and I can't explain. When I was very young, there was a film, like a normal film, and it's called Highlander. And this man, right, if he chops off someone's head, to cut a long story short, all the knowledge, all of the power, all of the wisdom that that man had, it will come into the one who chops off the head, right, okay? And there's special people that have to go around chopping off each other's head, okay? My upbringing was really, really sad. Anyway, but what happens is he chops off the person's head, so now he's just waiting now, because now the wisdom and the power and whatever, the energy, is going to be, but it's not, it's going to take its time. So he waits, and then it comes, shaking, and the glass shatters, and like that, and it comes with one lightning on him, and then he gets all that. When I started practicing, and the Imam would say to me, you know, Sarkhil kya jaldi hai? You know, what's the hurry? Because, you know, as soon as it's for me, and get up and go, because you're your friends, you've got football to play, you've got things to do. You're all right, you've got in the mosque. I came to the mosque, didn't I? Right? You know, what else do you want? and Maulana said, what's the hurry? Just sit down, make some dhikr, make some dua. And he said to me that, you know, and then if you stay there on your prayer mat, on your musalla, you know, then inshallah the barakah will catch up with you. If you move, it will miss you. Now, whether or not this came from a hadith, I am very doubtful it came from a hadith, okay? But because I had seen Highlander, it made a real serious impact. Because I thought to myself, you know, hold on a minute. I've done all of this work, all of this amal saleh. If I leave, it's gonna land on the carpet. Or worse, there was a particular boy in the masjid I didn't get along with. He might come and sit in my place and he'll get it. I'm not having an answer. And of course, after a little while, I didn't think of that as much as that this is the adab. Why leave quickly? So even after the prayer, there is something maybe still coming. So don't quote me as a fiqh fatwa here, right? This is very, very nebulous and very vague here. So just sit and make the tasbihat and make some dhikr. And in the Hanafi school, it's true that you can't spend too long making dhikr after the fajr because you have to pray your sunnah prayer in quite a swift time. And then after the sunnah prayers, you can sit and make dhikr as long as you like. I don't know how long they say. But in the other madhabs, there isn't that urgency. You can literally sit as long as you like, kind of thing. So whatever, bearing in mind the school, the madhab that you may follow, but don't leave straight away, because there is just so much in that prayer. So let's try to do the inward dimensions, and that's the same with fasting, which we'll do next week, pilgrimage, and even zakat. There is an inward way of looking at them. But from now, Allahu Akbar, the heart is, nothing is greater with the heart than Allah. Washing, want to wash away my sins. Bowing, let my heart bow. Sajda, let my heart be in need and broken. And who knows, just that one change inside, what could happen? What Allah Jalla wa'ala would give to us. Trying to draw near to Him. And even if the Imam has an obligation to be sensible, and not to bow too long, or make sajda too long, or to make too long qiyam because of the congregation. And so maybe he needs to keep it fairly short, but then we have our sunnahs and our nafils to more or less do what we want. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq, that He give us haqiqatul iman, the haqa'iqul iman, the realities of faith, that He teach us them, that He make us live them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He make our Islam zahir and batin, inward and outward. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He purify our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He give us ihsan in our ibadah, that we worship Him as though seeing. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He make love of Him and seeking intimacy with Him the greatest concern in our life from all of the other concerns we have. And Allah is the one who hears and responds. Subhana rabbika rabbil